Hey there, it's Tash, and today I'm going to be doing a December reading wrap-up. This month I read, I think, about 9 books, which sounds impressive, like, to me, maybe to other people it isn't, but a lot of them were rather small books, so this month there was actually not that much reading going on, but this month is the Christmas period, and I work in retail and hospitality, so the Christmas period isn't too much of an actual break, so I'm pretty content with what I've read. So the first thing I read this month was Dostoevsky's The Gentle Spirit, which is a novel about a pawnbroker who gets a new young wife and sort of the dynamic between them, and the relationship they have as husband and wife, considering there are a lot of power imbalances in there because, you know, the patriarchy. He's raking in the money, she's sort of very much dependent on him. Yeah, so she's kind of at his mercy and he kind of tosses her around a bit, and that's not very much helped by the fact that he is very emotionally detached and very materialistic, so he's very much a narcissist, and we sort of see kind of the effect that that has on her. I'm very much surprised about how generous he was in his depiction of women. But in a whole, I wasn't terribly impressed. I only gave it 4 stars, and a lot of that was because even though he did have some interesting themes in there, you kind of had to work a little bit to sort of appreciate them. And although they are there, they're sort of hidden between so much rambling, and I wasn't a fan of the writing style at all. I found it confusing and just redundant and kind of irritating how much rambling there was, frankly. And I know that it does make sense from like a literary point, that it does reflect his state of mind. He's like full of contradictions and he's very self-centered, but I just find it really annoying to read, and if I had had to read a longer version of that, I would have lost my mind. And then the next thing I read, I did love, and I gave 5 stars, and it was Tom Stoppard's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and this is an absurdist play. It's very good, do love it, belovedly. I tried to film a review on this actually, and it was terrible. It went for about half an hour and it was just me yelling, so maybe we'll try that again later. Yeah, so this is a play about 2 characters in Hamlet, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and they were friends of Hamlet, and they were with him on like the pirate ship when all that jazz went down, and so basically the king and queen asked them to spy on Hamlet and be like, "You're Hamlet, why are you all crazy puff banana pants?" That's not how the expression goes, but nonetheless. And I think, as existentialism usually is, this is an optimistic book, and it's sort of an anti-role model type thing, so I think this was very much don't do what these protagonists are doing, but I am decidedly emo, so I took a more emo approach to this, and I viewed it as we as people kind of get tossed around in an uncaring universe where everything is more or less left up to chance, and we are members of a story that we cannot comprehend and that we can't understand, much like how the characters in this play are very much being pushed around because of the events that are happening in Shakespeare's play Hamlet, but they don't have that knowledge. They can't understand what role they're playing and what the larger picture is. They can't figure out anyone's motives. They don't really know anything. They're just being shoved around, and they don't really have the means to say no because they can't really say no to the king and queen. Yeah. I absolutely love this. I don't know if you can tell because I tried to hide the sticky notes, but I tabbed this a lot, and I put in sticky notes of my thoughts, so I really liked this. So I viewed it as nothing about the universe makes sense, we can't really understand anything, and we're all gonna die. Yeah, but I really love it, please read it. And then the next 7 books I read were volumes 1 to 7 in the Fullmetal Alchemist series, and I love Fullmetal Alchemist. I gave most of these 5 stars. The Fullmetal Alchemist has 27 volumes and it's a manga, so it didn't take terribly long to read. This is about 2 brothers, Ed and Al, who are alchemists, and alchemy in this world is pretty much a cross between magic and sciencey type things. So there are rules and there are laws, and one of these laws is equivalent exchange, wherein you cannot receive something without giving something of equal value. And so these two brothers, one day when they're 10 or so, so he'd be 10, he'd be 9, they tried to bring back their mother from the dead, which also happens to be one of the alchemy taboos. Do not try to create life. Do not try to bring people back from the dead. And because of this equivalent exchange law, Ed lost his arm and his leg, and this guy lost his whole body. So they're like, oh geez, oh no, I want that back. So they're on a mission to try and get their original bodies back, but then it leads into so much more because, you know, 27 volumes. But it's very good. They eventually become members of the military because they have an alchemist section of the army, which is pretty smart. Weaponize everything. Gotta love it. They slowly discover that there's some shady stuff going on in the military with alchemy. And yes, so they are trying to get their bodies back, and then they're also like, gotta save the world. This is pretty much the greatest thing that has ever happened to me in my life. Because there's lots of angst, it's very dramatic, there's lots of action, it's very fast paced, but it's also very character driven, and I love the characters. They're very well drawn out. There's humour, there's just everything. I just love it. So obviously this one I gave 5 stars. The second one I gave 4 stars because it felt very much like they were trying to set up story arcs in this volume, which they were, so it makes sense. But in and of itself, it wasn't too amazing because of a lot of it was put into like making the groundwork for the rest of the series. 5 stars, amazing. I love it. Also, I love Roy. I love Roy and Reza. I love them. OTP5 ever. 5 stars. 3 stars because I hate Winry. I hate this character so much, and half this volume was just her, and I hated it, and I skimmed a lot of it because I hate it. But made up for it because there was, in the second half, there was a character called Azumi whom I love, and there was a lot of her in the second half, so it all balanced out. 5 stars. 5 stars. And that was my reading for December. Bye.